100,000 euros and 300,000 euros. Same island, same year. And what you get for each one is almost nothing like you'd expect. I went through every current listing on Rhodes to find 3 properties at each level, because the gap between those 2 budgets here doesn't just buy you a bigger house. It buys you a completely different life. One entry on this list comes with a private pool, a renovated interior and sea views. Another costs a third of that and is move-in ready by next month. The distance between them is smaller than you think. First stop, the east side of the island, a quiet settlement called Masari, close to a spot called Vagis. And according to the listing, this detached house is asking 115,000 euros, comfortably under 120, and that's your entry point today, the floor of this whole ladder. The wow moment here isn't drama, it's simplicity. A low, sun-bleached facade tucked into a coherent little settlement about 2.5 kilometers from the beach, close enough that the coast is a short drive, not a lifestyle commitment. Inside, it's straightforward. 1 kitchen, 1 bathroom, 1 living room, laid out across roughly 70 square meters. Part of it, original construction, part of it, a later addition. So the bones of the place have some history to them, but the shape is livable now, not a shell you're inheriting and rebuilding from scratch. This is a solid property you could actually move into as described. No major renovations required, just to make it functional. And always check documents and fees before anything's final. That's just good practice at any price point. And the best part is the price per square meter here is about as low as this list gets, which makes it a genuine toe-in-the-water option if Rhodes has ever felt out of reach for you. A place where you could genuinely land, unpack, and start living without a construction crew in the driveway for the first 6 months. Picture the actual daily routine. Coffee outside before the heat sets in. A short drive down to that beach 2.5 kilometers away. The settlement itself, quiet enough that you'd know your neighbors by name within a month. This is the low end of the ladder, but it's not a compromise. It's simply the starting rung, and it already tells you the rest of this list only gets better from here. But hold on, because the leader changes almost immediately, and this next one raises the bar without raising the price by much at all. Property number 2 takes us west, close to the airport, in a town called Paradisi, and at 120,000 euros, it's barely more expensive than the first, but it comes with something the first one didn't have. Actual documented renovation work already completed. The exterior wow here is textural. The walls are built from stone rather than brick, which the listing notes gives the place noticeably better insulation against both summer heat and winter damp. A small detail that matters a lot on an island that swings between blazing July afternoons and cool, wet nights in January. Step inside, and you've got 1 large kitchen room, plus 2 bright, high-ceilinged rooms opening onto a veranda. And the floors are finished in high-durability mosaic tile, the kind that's basically built to outlast whoever's living on top of it. Here's your ready-to-live reassurance. The roof has already been insulated, the electrical and plumbing system's already redone, the exterior and interior already repainted, and both the kitchen and bathroom already renovated. So what you're actually buying is a property where the heavy lifting has already happened for you. No major renovations lurking behind the walls, waiting to surprise you. Now, to keep this a curator's roundup and not a sales pitch, I have to flag the gap honestly. The listing states that air conditioning, heating, double glazing, and a solar water heater are not currently included, though double glazing is apparently upgradable through a national energy efficiency program. So it's not hidden. It's just something to plan and budget for. Still, for the money, a stone-built, freshly renovated home a few minutes from the airport is a strong second entry, and it's already proof that the leader on this list doesn't stay still for long. It also comes with something forward-looking. The listing mentions 70 additional square meters of building rights, meaning there's room to add a second floor down the line if you ever wanted more space. So what you're really buying at this price is a finished ground floor today and an open door for tomorrow. No pressure to use it, but it's there. Quick regional taste before we keep moving. This stretch of roads runs on a rhythm of long, dry summers, short, mild winters, an island bus network that actually connects the villages to the town, and an international airport that puts you a short hop from half of Europe. Palm-lined seafronts, medieval stone in Rhodes Old Town, and quiet mountain villages an hour inland. It's not a museum, it's real life. People actually live here year-round. Kids go to school here. Ferries come and go. Farmers still work the land in the interior villages the same way their grandparents did. And tourists are really only a summer layer on top of all that. Not the whole story. And now back to the deals, because the twist is coming fast. Property 3 flips the whole conversation because for 150,000 euros, you're no longer just buying square meters, you're buying a view, and this is where the ladder starts to feel like it's climbing somewhere real. This one sits up in the hills near Ataviros and Emponas, close to the village of Cretinia on the quieter west coast, built on an elevated position with, according to the listing, panoramic views over forested hillsides toward the sea and a medieval castle in the distance, and the beach itself is only about 800 meters away. The interior is compact, but smartly used. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and an open-plan kitchen, dining and living area anchored by a traditional fireplace for the cooler months, plus 2 separate courtyards, one facing northwest and one facing southeast, so the light moves through the property differently depending on the time of day, morning sun on one side, golden hour on the other. This is a solid property, no major renovation flagged in the listing, described as ready to actually move into and enjoy as is. And the best part is the setting around it. A short walk from a tiny village port called Camiros Scala, with fish tavernas right on the water, an ancient rock-carved tomb and small boats that leave from there for the quiet island of Halki, plus public transport connecting Cretinia back to Rhodes Town. And because tourism is noticeably lighter on this side of the island, prices for view properties like this one stay far more attractive than they would on the busier East Coast. This is the kind of place that works for retirement, for someone who wants quiet over crowds. And honestly, it's the one I'd bookmark if I just wanted to disappear for a season. Picture the actual evenings here, the castle catching the last light across the valley, the fireplace going in the cooler months, a courtyard on each side of the house so you're never actually chasing the sun. You just pick whichever one's warm that day. And the village of Cretinia itself has what you'd need day to day. A supermarket, a chemist, a small medical center nearby in Embona, tavernas that fill up on weekends. So this isn't isolation, it's just a slower gear. If sea views and slow village life sound like your version of Greece, remember this one, because we're about to leave the 100,000 range behind completely. And what's coming next changes the entire shape of this list. The strongest entries are still ahead of us. Here's your twist. Because the next property doesn't just cost more, it behaves like a completely different category of home altogether. At 323,000 euros, property 4 is a 2-level villa in the peaceful area of Gennady, on the southern part of the island, originally built in 2007, and according to the listing, fully renovated in 2024. So you're getting solid original construction, paired with a genuinely modern refresh, not a decades-old shell dressed up for photos. The wow anchor here is outdoor living, a private garden, a terrace, and a seasonal private swimming pool, plus a balcony that looks out over garden and mountain views, the kind of setup where your morning coffee actually has a view attached to it. Inside, across roughly 84 square meters, the ground floor holds an open-plan living and kitchen area, along with a master bedroom and bathroom, while the upper floor adds a second bedroom and an additional bathroom, giving you a real separation of space that a single-level home this size usually can't offer. Useful if you've got guests, family, or just want a floor to yourself. It comes equipped with air conditioning and a fully fitted kitchen, described as low maintenance and ready to actually move into. No major renovations pending. Just note the listing mentions. Monthly communal fees of around 150 euros. Small print worth knowing up front so there are no surprises later. And the best part is where it sits. Under 2 kilometers from Gennady Beach, with Lindos about 24 kilometers away and the wild, windswept southern tip at Prosinisi around 26, so you're close enough to the postcard spots without paying postcard prices. And the listing notes it's already received strong guest feedback, which matters if short-term rental income is part of your plan. Quiet retirees, remote workers who want a pool outside the laptop window, and small-scale investors could all make a case for this one, though as always, listings move fast and terms can shift. So nothing here is a guarantee, just a description of what's on offer right now. Compare that to what 300,000 euros buys in a lot of places you'd actually recognize. A cramped city apartment with no outdoor space at all. And suddenly a private pool, 2 balconies worth of view, and a full villa layout on a Greek island doesn't look expensive anymore. It looks like the trade you've been waiting to make. If you want more finds like this is exactly the moment to subscribe, because the next region we cover gets even more interesting. But for now, don't miss what's coming, because the last 2 properties on this list are where the real plot twist lies. And that twist is land, actual usable wraparound land. Property 5 brings us to Koskinu, right on the edge of Rhodes town itself, close to the beaches of Calathea, and at 350,000 euros, this single-level house is where the ladder jumps again. Not because the house itself is enormous, but because of what surrounds it. The build is roughly 150 square meters, a large, bright living room, a separate lobby, a dedicated dining room, 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, plus a garage of about 19.5 square meters, a genuinely comfortable, family-sized layout described as ready to actually move into without a renovation project attached. But here's the wow. The plot beneath it stretches to roughly 2,465 square meters, which is an extraordinary amount of private land to have this close to a town center, and the listing points out that space like that leaves enormous room for whatever you want to add later. A pool, gardens, even a tennis court, all without ever feeling boxed in by neighbors. No major renovations flagged. It's a solid property as it stands. The land is simply the upside layered on top of an already livable house. And the best part is the location itself. Minutes from both Rhodestown and the Calathea coastline, so you get small town sized land with genuine city access. This is exactly the kind of setup that works for a family that wants room to grow into over the years, or for anyone who's always wanted space to eventually build a pool without asking permission from a shared wall. Walk that plot in your head for a second. Most of a modern city block, wrapped around a house you could move straight into, with Rhodestown's shops, restaurants, and marina a short drive one way, and the Calathea beaches, with their pine-covered cliffs, and that famous old thermal springs building. Just a few minutes the other way, this is small-town land with genuine city access, and at this size, that combination is rare anywhere in Europe, let alone on a Greek island. But don't get comfortable yet, because the final property on this list somehow finds even more land relative to its price, and adds one detail none of the others had. We've saved the strongest for the end. Property 6, in Ilissos, a short 10-minute drive from Rhodestown, listed at 360,000 euros. And on paper, it's the most expensive entry today. But square meter for square meter, it might genuinely be the one that surprises you the most. It's a single-level, bungalow-style home, about 80 square meters of interior space, set within a quiet, established residential neighborhood, but it sits on a plot of roughly 1,100 square meters, and the listing describes it as surrounded by mature fruit and olive trees, an already established, naturally shaded garden that took years to grow, not something you plant and then wait a decade for. Inside, you've got an open-plan living room and kitchen, 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a practical, easy, everyday layout, and it comes equipped with 4 separate air conditioning units, plus a solar hot water system. So the comfort systems are already handled for you. No major renovations needed. A genuinely solid property you can actually move into exactly as described. And the best part, the real deal kicker, is the roof. The listing notes, there's direct access to the rooftop, and from up there you get sea views, which turns a quiet residential bungalow into something with a much bigger lifestyle payoff than the price tag alone would suggest. Add in front and rear verandas for morning and evening light, private parking, and a 10 square meter storage space, and you've got a property that quietly does more than its listing photos probably show you. Now, the last two decisions on this list, it's essentially a choice between a wide open plot in Koskinu or a mature, shaded, established garden in Ialisos, with a rooftop that hands you the sea for free. One's a blank canvas. The other's already finished and just waiting for you to show up. And honestly, there's no wrong answer. It just depends on whether you want to build something or walk straight into something already grown in. So there's your ladder, 6 real listings, climbing from just over 100,000 euros to 360,000. And the honest takeaway is this: the cheapest option gets you a genuine foothold on the island, something modest, but entirely yours. The mid-range options start adding fully renovated interiors and real, honest views. And once you cross into the 200,000 plus range, you're not just buying square meters anymore, you're buying land, pools, verandas, and rooftop sea views. Best for sea views, that hillside home near Cretinia at 150,000 is genuinely hard to beat for the money. Best for land, Koskinu's 2,400 square meter plot is rare this close to town at any price. Most turnkey, that fully renovated Gennady villa with the pool, already does the least amount of work for you on day one. Best entry point, that stone-walled house in Paradisi, already renovated and just 20 minutes from the airport, is about as low risk a start as you'll find on this island. And if space and privacy are what you're chasing, that mature garden and rooftop sea view out in Ialisos is the one that keeps pulling me back. It's the kind of place photos genuinely undersell. Line all 6 up side by side, and the real lesson isn't that Rhodes is cheap or that Rhodes is expensive. It's that the island stretches to fit almost any budget you bring to it. And the version of Rhodes you get depends entirely on which rung of this ladder you're standing on. Remember, prices here are as selected at the time of this roundup, so treat them as a snapshot. And listings move fast on this island, especially anything under 200,000. So if one of these caught your eye, don't sit on it too long. So tell me in the comments, are you the 100,000 euro foothold type? Or are you holding out for that rooftop sea view in Ialisos? Are you chasing the cheapest way in, the biggest plot you can find, or a place that's already finished the day you get the keys? And which one actually wins for you? The view, the land, or the pool? If you want more roundups exactly like this, stick around and subscribe, because the next region we're covering might make even Rhodes look expensive. And trust me, that one's coming soon, and it might just knock Rhodes off the top of this list.